My 2 cents, motherfucker.
What up, y'all? DCFAYGOGUY. So, after watching CPN's live stream on Sunday featuring the homie Beastmaster, their topic on that was the Juggalo Eras. And I thought about making a response that night. I didn't end up doing it, and Monday morning I thought about doing it as well. But then I saw that Juggalo A Day decided to make that their weekly topic this week. So it's official. I can drop my 2 cents on this shit now. So, you have both CPN and Beastmaster, Crazy McCormick. I haven't watched Mac and Hose yet, but so far they've all agreed that there are 4 eras in the Juggalo world, starting with the Clown era, where it was just ICP. They acknowledge an in-between era there called Fuck the Industry. Then you have the Juggalo Family era, and then finally the new one that we have that pretty much started this year. I acknowledge the Clown era. Now this is all opinion. This is all opinion. However you look at it. This is the way I look at it. Yes, the Clown era, perfect. But as far as the Fuck the Industry era, that's the one that I don't acknowledge as an era. I mean, because if we're talking about eras is a period of time, or multiple periods of time. It's used geologically as, just time. But you can break it down further into periods. So you have, yes, the Clown era of Insane Clown Posse and the first 6 Joker cards, and obviously you'd have periods of time in that era. You would obviously have what I would call the pre-Juggalo. We're talking Basement Cuts, Dog Beats, Carnival of Carnage. We're talking like the old school shit of the local Detroit Juggalos that followed that shit in the beginning. And obviously there could have been some that discovered it outside of Detroit, but we're talking like the core of it was Detroit. Then from there you would have what I would consider like the spread. I would call it the spread, because you had Riddlebox, where obviously they went to Texas then and started making Dallas a clown town. Then you obviously move into Fuck the Industry. Now, Fuck the Industry then also transitioned us into the next era, because you had the signing of Twisted. You then had Dark Lotus form, and it was in Dark Lotus that you obviously have Juggalo Family, cementing the start of that era. After all, it was then in Shangri-La. You have homies, where they talk about your homies being your family too. So that definitely, Dark Lotus definitely kickstarted that era. But the reason why I don't look at Fuck the Industry as an era, for one, it's still going on. I mean, Fuck the Industry never really ended. It started about 98, 97-ish with the whole Disney thing. But it never really stopped. I mean, you had the tracks like Shock and All, the Dark Lotus track on Cryptic Collection 3. That's Fuck the Industry. You had Fuck the Radio on the DJ Clay mixtape, Book of the Wicked, Chapter 2. That was, 2010? So, I mean, that era never really fully left. I would actually say the period after, or the period in between, the transitioning period, as you will, between the Clown era and the Juggalo Family era, I would call that, what would you call it? I don't even know what you would call that. But I acknowledge the Fuck the Industry, but that never really ended. That hasn't really ended. That still kind of carries on today. It was just a lot of fuck yous to the industry because of obviously what happened. But then obviously you have all the shit that's popped off recently. The Juggalo Family era kind of, for me, comes towards an end when Twisted left. That didn't end the era, but it started to go into that transitioning period because of all the shit that was kind of going with subliminal disses. Everybody wondering what the fuck's going on. Obviously the Juggalo divide, and then all the shit that happened at the beginning of the year. That's where the era of Juggalo Family ended, and now you have this new era that we're into now. But there's so many different periods that make up these eras that I'm not even going to go through them all. I'm not even going to name them all. But the ultimate topic here is the Juggalo Eras, and in my opinion, there's 3 of them. You have the Clown era, you have the Juggalo family era, and you now have the one that we are in, which CPN called it the Underground Game of Thrones, which was kind of cool, makes sense, but it's a little long-winded. So I like the one he altered or he made after that. Everybody says the Civil War, but it kind of is a little more than a civil war right now. It's more than just between Psychopathic Records and Magic Ninja Entertainment. You obviously have some third parties that have kind of touched in on this beef, obviously with the Tech 9 shit. Kung Fu Vampire's thrown his 2 cents in on the whole situation, making himself a neutral party as well. You have Spanish side, who has obviously backed up Psychopathic Records, and who knows where. I don't even know how many other labels there are. You have Suburban Noise. I know there's LSP. I don't follow any of these factions, but the title that CPN ultimately landed on that I think is perfect is the Underground Wars, and this may actually only be another period. This may only be another time period that transitions us into the next era. But in my opinion, there's only 3 eras. We haven't really the Fuck the Industry kind of overlaps the Juggalo family era, the family era, however you want to call it. So I wouldn't necessarily categorize that as an era. I don't even think I'd call that a period itself, just because it took place between there. I think that was maybe the transitioning period between the Clown and the family era. Maybe that I would call that the rise, because they had more public attention at that point. Obviously, Malenko was able to go platinum. Jekyll Brothers was able to go platinum. So that was the on the rise. I think that's perfect, because then you have the formation of Dark Lotus. You have Psychopathic Riders that emerges. Obviously, they signed Twisted. They eventually signed Blaze. They had Misery at a short time. Not long after that, you end up with Anybody Killa. And by that time, 2001, 2002, that family era took off. So that transitioning period, I would definitely call it the rise of Psychopathic Records. Because prior to that, it was Insane Clown Posse. It was the 6 Joker cards. Then you transition into Psychopathic Records. It became more about Psychopathic Records than just ICP. I would call it that. So I don't even know how long I've rambled on, but that's my 2 cents. That's the way I look at the eras. There's 3 of them. You have the Clown era, you have the family era, and you have the new one we are in now, which could just be a transitioning period. I don't know that I'd fully call this an era yet, but definitely the family era is coming to an end if it hasn't already. Who knows what this next era will bring, but we're definitely in a period of underground wars and a lot of civil war, as a lot of people are stating. That's how they feel about it. That's the way they look at it. It's a civil war. It's a divorce. That analogy has been thrown out there. So those are the 3 eras to me. Tell me your thoughts down below. And if you want to name all the periods, you can. There's a lot of little periods in there, like a lot. Obviously, you have the ending of the first 6 comes to an end. You would have, the Calm, the Tempest, and then the Eye of the Storm. That's its own little period, And then we transition into the next one, the second deck of Joker cards. So leave your thoughts down below, and thank you guys for watching.